Medical science operates on a strict linear timeline. Recovery is typically mapped out on a calendar based on the severity of the physical wound. A torn ligament equals 6 months. A broken bone takes 8 weeks. Then you have cricketer Rishabh Pant. After a catastrophic car crash, medical consensus suggested his physical injuries were so extreme that his days in elite sport were over. Yet, exactly 14 months later, he was standing on a pitch holding the T20 World Cup trophy, far ahead of every established medical prognosis. The trauma scales up with surfer Bethany Hamilton. At just 13 years old, her left arm was completely severed in a shark attack. A loss of that magnitude typically requires years of physical adaptation and deep psychological recovery. She was back in the ocean, standing on a surfboard, in exactly 1 month. Finally, Formula One racer Niki Lauda. His vehicle erupted in flames during a crash, causing internal lung damage and burns so severe that a priest was called to administer his last rites. 42 days later, he strapped himself back into a race car and competed. These timelines defy the standard biological rules of healing. When the body outpaces its own medical recovery charts by years, it suggests an undocumented mechanism accelerating the physical self past its known limits. To find the source of this speed, we look to the case of teacher Pedro Bocurita. A massive stroke left him paralyzed, and doctors labeled his condition incurable after brain scans revealed a massive dark void of dead tissue. His son rejected that prognosis. He subjected his father to a relentless, years-long regimen of daily physical movement and intense psychological motivation. Eventually, Pedro regained the ability to walk and returned to his teaching career, seemingly defying the biological reality of his brain damage. An autopsy performed later revealed a scientific shock. Pedro's brain never actually healed. The motor control center remained 97% destroyed. Instead of fixing the dead tissue, the surviving 3% of his brain had physically reorganized itself. It formed entirely new connections to take over the functions of the destroyed regions. The brain reacts to persistent mental focus by physically rebuilding its own hardware, a process that allows it to bypass massive structural damage. This physical rewiring of the brain is known as neuroplasticity. Indian hockey player Sandeep Singh triggered this mechanism after a gunshot wound on a train paralyzed him from the waist down. Sandeep made the radical choice to refuse painkillers, forcing his nervous system to confront the raw, unmedicated trauma of his injury every second of the day. This constant, localized mental focus accelerated the reorganization of his neural pathways. Within 1 year, he was walking and playing for his country again. This adaptation can even compensate for the loss of a critical sense, as demonstrated by cricket captain Tiger Patati. A car crash took the vision in his right eye just 6 months before his international debut. Tracking a cricket ball at 150 kilometers per hour requires binocular depth perception, making his return biologically impossible. Under the immense pressure of international competition, his brain rapidly remapped its visual processing pathways to track the ball using only one eye. The brain treats uncompromising psychological stubbornness as a priority, physically altering its neural structure to meet the survival demands set by the mind. We are taught that time and the severity of a wound are the absolute masters of the healing process. However, the evidence shows that mental strength is a tangible biological mechanism that can override standard recovery expectations. When the mind refuses to accept a physical limit, the brain physically rebuilds the nervous system to find a way forward. Tragedies can damage the flesh, but they cannot permanently silence the body's hidden compensatory systems. The ultimate boundary of human physical recovery is set by the relentless willpower of the individual, not the severity of the trauma.